So, folks, Mahmoud Khalil still, unfortunately, in ICE custody. However, however, yesterday a judge ordered that he be allowed to visit with his wife and lawyer for the first time in person. And today, he was able to hold his newborn son for the first time. And yeah, he also got to make his argument for asylum in front of an immigration judge, and it was noted by reporters for every time the newborn cooed, he would look over and smile, even as he was describing the potential deadly fate that awaited him should he be deported. So, like, it's not great on the one hand, but I feel good for him today. Like, dude is in an insanely difficult situation, and his wife with their newborn traveled 1,500 miles in the hopes that, like, they would be able to see him and he could hold his his child. And it's just really nice that actually worked out. I know that there's like a lot of things going wrong with our systems. And honestly, from the judge's order, there were some concerns that potentially, ICE would be insanely dickish and not actually allow him to like have physical contact with his newborn. But that didn't happen. And he was able to hold him, and it was good. It was, like, good things can still happen. All right, it's part of the small victory, exactly. Worldo. I'd be worried if I was them. Yeah, but you know what? And I think this is something that I think we're all becoming increasingly aware of. The more you are steeped in worry and concern, like, the more you need to like stop and smile sometimes. The more important it becomes to take joy where you can find it. Like, that's, when I say like joy in a sense is revolutionary, that's kind of what I mean. Like, you need that in order to keep you going. Like, otherwise you just implode like a dying star. It's not good to just be unable to like get your energy from somewhere. Okay? Yeah, even though things might be really bad, you still got to smell the flowers sometimes. And we're all here for you, Erica. And if you need to talk, I think I'm almost positive people on the mod team will be able to get in contact with you if you need to get some stuff off your chest. There's always something good somewhere. Exactly, Dragonfly. Relatedly, we're not actually done with the segment, despite me answering about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I need you guys to understand kind of where we're at with deportations and where the Trump administration is kind of at, right? And I need you guys to understand that they are desperate right now, and that's putting them in a bad spot with deportations, right? One-Eyed Heathen, I'm not sure why it's not reading your dono message, but thank you for the $10 super chat. I will read your dono message off when we get through this segment. However, you can tell how desperate the Trump administration is here, because how I told you need to give like your supporters special treats if you're going to be like a fascist regime that's successful, right? You need to like give them the treats. Well, essentially what Donald Trump has done with ICE and Border Patrol is give them a huge amount of quotas to meet. And what that is now leading to are ICE agents waiting at immigration courts to just arrest people who are following the law, who are doing, going to their court dates, doing all that stuff. They are, going after the easiest targets because they just, well, frankly, they don't know where else to go. They don't know where else to get these undocumented immigrants, right? And that's why they're being real sticklers for this stuff. And, you know, this is also why they are doing crazy stuff, like sending people to concentration camps like CCOT in El Salvador, where people get tortured. This is why they're trying to make deals with Mongolia, and why they've apparently preliminarily made a deal with South Sudan. We haven't talked about this, and I will talk about it more in depth on a new day. But essentially, to give you guys a mini update, as far as I understand it, a bunch of Southeast Asian people who were in the country, allegedly undocumented, though I don't know if they got due process at all, because, well, they did not get due process. I can tell you that for sure. They were taken and deported to South Sudan. And by deported, again, I mean kidnapped and taken to South Sudan, because, again, none of them are from South Sudan or any countries remotely close to South Sudan. And presumably they are there to be held in some kind of facility in South Sudan. And for those of you who don't know that much about South Sudan, it is not a terribly politically stable country. It is not the situation is not great there. And again, we'll go more in depth on that on a new day. And a judge was able to intervene yesterday in order to like try and ascertain what exactly was going on. And all the Southeast Asian people were being held on the plane, on the tarmac, and the government is trying to argue that like they can do their, you know, reasonable fear of deportation hearings from South Sudan. Like it's very, very weird. The situation is bizarre. Let me pull something up for you guys here related to that. Basically, today, ICE told Judge Murphy, who is overseeing this case, that even the spokesperson for the South Sudanese police threatened to relocate these Southeast Asian people to another country. So, like, they're currently in South Sudan, and the police there are saying, well, if you don't move them off the plane, we're going to take them and send them to a different country. And, you know, at that point, ICE would lose custody of them, and that would obviously be a problem with the court. And, however, ICE also tells the judge, don't worry! Don't worry about the South Sudanese police taking these people, because none of these Southeast Asian men have adequately expressed their legit fears of, you know, deportation. So, like, wherever they get sent by the South Sudanese police, like, it's fine, because they're not afraid. Which is maybe one of, like, the most insane arguments I've ever heard in my life. Okay? And I'm not in. I gotta be honest. Like, that's where things stand. The last I heard, that was ICE's argument. And I understand that the discussion is going to be ongoing over the next like day or so, which is why I'm not ready to fully talk about this story. But it's insane, right? And like, you have to wonder and ask yourself, why is this administration doing these insane things, right? Like, when it comes to these stories, it's partially true that cruelty is the point, right? It's partially true that they want to use cruelty to kind of scare people from attempting to come to the United States. However, the other part of it is they want to like signal to their base that they are actually doing something, because ICE is not meeting the quotas that they are being given by Donald Trump, a moron, right? And so that leads us to kind of the third part about this, which is that, again, you need to be giving your supporters traits. there needs to be like loopholes, exceptions, etc. Like if you want this fascism thing to like work. And I'm glad that they aren't making this work. And I feel like this story that I came across today really emphasizes how much this isn't working. Okay. This story comes out of Mississippi here, which is ICE arrested this man right here. Okay. A Mississippi father. He's a welding foreman. He is dyed in the wool MAGA. Like he's been a MAGA guy for like the last 6 years. He has, 4 children, blonde hair, blue eyed, the whole thing. I believe he's Danish. And like they arrested him at his citizenship meeting. He has done literally everything right to become a US citizen. And they arrested him anyway. Right? And it's his name's Casper Erickson, and it's very strange. One morning, sitting in an immigration office in Memphis, Casper Erickson found himself transformed. Only a day before, he was a welding foreman, a husband and father of 4 who lived on a family farm in Sturgis, Mississippi. Now he was a detainee, bound and shackled to the sterile white seats of the detention shuttle in Tennessee, headed southwest, barely able to wriggle. So, understand that part of what is happening with part of the issue here is that under normal circumstances, ICE would never target this guy because ICE is, well, frankly, hella racist, right? The white nationalist project, the white supremacist project of ICE and, the Republican government would generally not target someone like this. Someone who is following the book, someone who is, for all intents and purposes, a family man, fully employed, well-known and liked in his community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? The reason, by the way, they are arresting him is because apparently in 2015, he failed to fill out a form. And it is a form called Form I-751, called a petition to remove conditions on residence. And this is just one of so many different forms you have to file in order to become a US citizen. And, well, basically, the reason he wasn't able to fill out that form, or, he forgot to fill out the form, is because his wife had a stillbirth. They lost their first child. And, I think when you lose your first child, or any child, that's a pretty compelling reason to miss your filing date for a form in a bureaucratic system. It's not great. However, you'll notice that was 2015. That's 10 years ago. In the 10 years since then, no one has told him he needs to fill out that form. No one was like, hey, you're missing this paperwork. You should go fill that out, And that is enough to, apparently in Trump's America, get you arrested, even if you are a Trump supporter, even if you are white, even if you own a family farm, even if you have 4 children, you're fully employed in your community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, this is not a scenario. Like he's paid his taxes. He's done everything he's supposed to, except he forgot that one form. And it's just, again, anyone who is not, what is that form code? It's I-751. Okay. He didn't get to say goodbye to his family. He didn't get to say goodbye to his children. He has been spirited away as well, locked up in a cell with 100 other people. Yeah, it's not great. he's been able to talk with the press. Mississippi Free Press was able to talk with him for their story. However, he has lost 25 pounds since being in detention due to the conditions within the privately run holding facility where he is being detained. So, yeah, it's really, really bad. And again, this is a guy. He's a MAGA guy. He was on board with all of this until like a week ago. Wait, not a week ago. Let me get the actual date. They spoke to him May 20th. What day was he detained? On April 15th. So from April 15th to May 20th. So like a little over a month, he lost 25 pounds. That is indeed way too fast. You will note that is a very, very short amount of time. Yeah, they're not feeding people. Well, it isn't so much that they don't feed people, it's that they don't give them enough to eat. According to his own testimony about the conditions, they do give them food, so that's good. And like to really emphasize how like uncommon this is, here's the description of his initial arrest. 2 hours after the Ericksons arrived at the office in Memphis, awaiting an early morning appointment with a case manager, the trap sprang. A law enforcement officer, whom Casper recalled being a U.S. Marshal, was waiting for them when the meeting began. The first stage was disbelief. Even the men who were about to collapse the Ericksons' lives seemed mortified at the circumstances. I will say the case manager in Memphis and the U.S. Marshal had a real sense of remorse because they realized it was an unfortunate circumstance, Casper said. Like even the officers that arrested him understood that this was incredibly outside of the norm. Yeah, no, unironically, the ICE guys were like, wait a minute, we have to arrest this white guy with his white wife? I don't know about this. It's starting to make me feel like the bad guy if they're white. Like genuinely, there's like this sense of like, are we the baddies when they like arrest a white guy? It's kind of crazy. But I also think it's kind of revealing about like the circumstances and situation of what ICE does functionally, you know? So, yeah, I just, we've got like a lot of things going on, but I want you all to understand something about these stories, which is that if things were going according to their plan, they would not be arresting guys like this. If things were going according to their plan, they wouldn't be struggling to send people to South Sudan. If things were going according to their plan, Mahmoud Khalil would not be able to hold his newborn. Okay, like that's kind of where we're at. I know that a lot of these are scary stories, but understand they are not symptoms of the Trump plan or the administration's plan or Project 2025 or whatever larger Republican conservative plan you want to dig up. They are not symptoms of those plans going well. They are, in fact, symptoms of the opposite. So, like Mahmoud Khalil, takes strength in the fact that he was able to hold his newborn, because we need that strength in order to push forward. We need to continue pushing back on this. We need to continue building the environment for these initiatives to fail. And we've done that so far. We just must keep pushing forward. So, with that being said, call your elected representatives, fax them. You can use faxzero.com to fax them. Not a sponsor. You can just do it for free without a fax machine. Faxzero.com. They have a registry for all the members of Congress and governors that you can fax. That way there's a physical piece of paper there. You can also call your elected representatives with 5calls.org and gear up to protest on June 14th. So that's kind of where we're at, folks. We got No Kings Day coming up. And if you want to know more about that, nokings.org. All right? June 14th. Let's go.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's